Most students think that LinkedIn only works if you're posting content every week. Fortunately, that's not true. You don't need to go viral. You just need to be visible in the right ways. I'll show you 3 strategies that will get recruiters and professionals noticing you, even if you've never made a single post. Through college, I might have only made like 4 or 5 LinkedIn posts, with the majority of those being announcing new roles, not posting content to try to attract recruiters to my profile. However, I was still able to get recruiters and industry professionals to notice me due to a strong profile and smart networking. You don't need an audience, you just need attention from the right people. So let's break this down into 3 simple strategies that you can do without ever posting publicly. By the way, if your profile isn't getting noticed, it usually comes back to your resume too. I've got a free resume template linked below that shows you exactly how to write bullets that recruiters actually read. Grab that while you're setting up your LinkedIn. First off, are profile quick fixes. Your LinkedIn should read like a well-organized and thought out menu. It should make sense, and every piece should be contributing to rounding out the full picture. When flipping through a menu, how confusing would it be if appetizers and desserts and entrees were all lumped together and mixed throughout one section, and in another section you have drinks that are alcoholic, non-alcoholic, juices and iced teas all together? That just wouldn't make sense, and your LinkedIn should be treated the same way. Your headline, profile picture, and about section should be the cover of your menu. It should go without saying that you should have a clean headshot, not an old cropped prom picture that you have in a tuxedo, or even worse, other people being included in your profile picture. Now, a lot of schools will offer headshots for free, within the first couple weeks of the semester, so you should definitely take advantage of that opportunity. And if not, find some time to just dress up professionally, find a blank wall or a scenic background, and figure out how to take a professional picture. It doesn't even have to be with a fancy camera or anything like that. You could probably use portrait mode on your iPhone and get a decent result where it blurs the background and still keeps your face nice and clear. Additionally, you want your headline to be aligned with the roles that you're applying to. Instead of it just being finance student at XYZ University, instead, maybe incorporate some of your leadership positions or your investment type roles, right? Equity research analyst at the Panther Investment Fund. That says a lot more to a recruiter, and even sometimes tricks people into thinking that you already have a role as a research analyst because you have that title in your LinkedIn. I've had people reach out to me wondering, hey, what fund are you a part of, when it's literally just a student-run investment club on campus that anybody can be part of. And so I want to caution you to not inflate these roles or use the titles maliciously, but really only use these headlines when you have an experience to talk about. If you put in your headline that you're an equity research analyst at your university's student-run investment fund, but you actually just show up to the weekly meetings, just learning about general finance and the markets, sitting in the very back with your AirPods in, scrolling or shopping on your laptop, that is unethical, and I hope you get called out in an interview for it to speak about that experience, because you won't be able to say anything. And even when you try to make up a story to tell your recruiter about what you've learned or your actual experience in the student organization, they are going to easily be able to tell that you don't know what you're talking about if you haven't actually done the work. One thing that I've seen on LinkedIn is people having multiple different labels in their headline as well, like finance student / aspiring wealth management analyst / client obsessed results driven leader. My take on those headlines is I don't really know how well they speak to recruiters, especially in the finance world. Whenever I see those types of headlines, I think they're honestly just a little bit tacky, and I've never used that type of headline myself, and instead just find it more impactful to list the actual role that you're currently in outside of being a student at whatever university that you attend. And I'd have a hard time believing that I would get more responses, more interest, and more hits if my tagline were something like aspiring wealth management professional versus what I would typically use, which would be the president of my student-run investment fund and the professional development consultant role that I had as a student worker job. And the last thing at the top of your profile is your about section. That should basically be where you're putting your elevator pitch that you would generally tell somebody new when you're meeting them, or how you answer the tell me about yourself question in an interview. Again, you want to avoid sounding super generic in this about section and instead tailor your messaging to a specific type of recruiter in a specific industry. Number 2 is passive visibility hacks. You don't need to shout, you just need to wave in the right places. If you're not posting publicly on LinkedIn, another way that you can maintain visibility is by commenting on people's posts or posts that are relevant in your industry or your niche, or even endorsing someone for a skill if you've worked with them in the past. And what I'm talking about in commenting is not necessarily just saying congratulations to people who are accepting new roles or to your friends who have posted about their internships. Those are comments that get read over and passed by super easily. Instead, you want to be finding posts that are resonating in your niche or in your industry and try to contribute something of value. Maybe a thoughtful opinion or an invitation to continue the discussion. If you're following recruiters and engaging with their content, it's a great way to continue being in touch without feeling spammy. And number 3, the active approach. The fastest way to be seen is to say hello strategically. This is the part that nobody wants to do, is send cold messages. But I've had plenty of times where a very simple, polite, cold message leads into a conversation that could turn into a referral and even an interview down the line. And in the DMs, the obvious framework that I continue to repeat is that you want to try to provide something of value first and then add a call to action. It's as simple as that, especially since with personalized connection requests, you have a very limited number of characters to outreach these people. You want to be very to the point with your messages. And that's exactly what we provide in our cold outreach scripts, again, which you can get in the link in the description below. If you still feel nervous or awkward about sending a note to somebody with your connection request, another approach could be to just follow them or connect with them, like a couple of their posts and comment on their posts over time to warm up, and then send them a message. Another tip I want to give you is to not only focus on the recruiters at these companies that you're applying to, but actually instead spend more time networking with analysts or associates, or even if you can get up to VPs or directors or MDs who are at these companies who are on the teams that you want to work on. This is the secret sauce because, for one, there's more employees who are actually doing the work than the 1 or 2 recruiters who are out there interfacing with the thousands of applicants. And for 2, they will forward candidates that they like. So you have a higher chance of getting past these HR screens that are initially there to prevent you from getting through in the first place. If you want to take this a step further, the best thing you can do is learn how to cold message people on LinkedIn the right way. Check out this video next. I'll show you exactly how to put this strategy in practice. Let's cook. I'll see you over there.